And if we may continue with our fourth speaker. He is a former Philippine representative to the Asean Joint Coordinating Committee for Medical Practitioners, former member, Professional Regulatory Board of Medicine, the overall coordinator for the Working Group for International Alignment, Philippine Qualifications Framework, and member of Task Force for the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. Please welcome Jose Y. Cueto Jr., MD, FPCS, MHPed.
Morning. First of all, I'd like to thank the United Architects of the Philippines for inviting me to deliver a presentation on the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. But before I do that, let me congratulate the UAP for at least three reasons. First, for having won as Outstanding Organization of the PRC for at least 5 times already. And I think you're the only organization which has won 5 times. Second reason is for having 2 of your members as commissioners of the PRC at the same time. And it's the first time that except for having two lawyers at one point in time, is the first time that we had 2 commissioners coming from one profession. And the third reason is, according to newspaper reports, kayo daw ang naging dahilan kung bakit nakulong si Mrs. Napoles. Dahil daw na-charge siya for illegal practice of architecture. Because according to the newspapers, she was the architect of the biggest scam ever in the Philippines. So congratulations to the United Architects of the Philippines. So what I will do here is, if you look at the program, first session was about ASEAN. The second is where we stand as far as competitiveness is concerned. This third session will be about the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. And the last session to be delivered by Commissioner Yoli Reyes will be what is an ASEAN architect. So essentially, I will be answering the 3 questions. First, the PQF and the AQRF, what are they? Second, how are they used? And the third, what are their implications to the architecture profession? So I will have to give you concrete examples of how the PQF and the AQRF will be used as far as the profession of architecture is concerned. Now going to the PQF, the Philippine Qualifications Framework is described as an 8-level framework. So you see at the right side, levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this reflects the levels that describe the qualifications under the next column, basic education, which is grade 10 to 12, that correspond to levels 1 and level 2, level 1 and level 2. The third column here, technical education and skills development, occupies levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the PQF. And they refer to the National Certificate 1, NC2, NC3, NC4, and the diploma skills and competencies under TESDA, or the Technical Education and Skills Development sector. The last column here, which occupies or are assigned to level 6, 7, and 8, are assigned to the baccalaureate levels, post-baccalaureate, doctoral and postdoctoral levels of higher education. So you see here from this structure that the Philippine Qualifications Framework is a tool for the development and description of the qualifications of the trifocalized education in the Philippines. What is not reflected here, although we always say that professionals are included in the PQF, is the professional level. Aside from the levels, the Philippine Qualifications Framework, and I'm just describing higher education starting at level 6, has 3 domains. And the domains are the following: knowledge, skills, and values, application of the knowledge, skills, and values, and the third domain is the degree of independence. Aside from these domains, you now see here level descriptors or learning outcomes which are appropriate to this level 6. So you see here the knowledge, skills, and values component that a graduate or a professional has demonstrated broad and coherent knowledge and skills in their field of study for professional work and lifelong learning. If we go up to level 7 in the knowledge, skills, and values, you now see demonstration of advanced knowledge and skills in specialized or multidisciplinary field of study for professional practice, creative work, self-directed research, and or lifelong learning. And if we go up to level 8, which is the highest level, this now deals with highly advanced systematic knowledge and skills in highly specialized and or multidisciplinary field of learning for complex research, creative work, and or professional practice and leadership for the advancement of learning and development of innovation. This early, I'd like to emphasize that the and or are very important. This means that a professional in the different profession may excel in just one aspect, and he can already reach from entry level 6 to level 7 and up to level 8. Now, if you excel in all aspects, professional work, research, creative work, leadership, advancement of learning, then you will be a candidate for outstanding professional of the Professional Regulation Commission. Now, let me go back to level 6 for application. Level 6 for application is application in professional work in a broad range of discipline. If you go up to level 7, it now requires leadership and management. A very good example of this is in nursing, where a comparison between the Philippine nursing curriculum was done with that of the Belgian curriculum or Flemish curriculum. Filipino nurses going to Belgium were found to be lacking in leadership and management because the BS nursing did not contain opportunities for development of leadership and management. But if they take up their masteral courses or degrees in nursing, that's where leadership and management is taught. So also for architecture, you will have to look at the competencies at level 6 and the competencies or learning outcomes at level 7. Where will you find leadership and management? And of course, if we go up to the highest level of level 8, this now deals with highly specialized or complex multidisciplinary field of professional work and requiring innovation, leadership, and management in research in specialized or multidisciplinary field. Again, let me go back to level 6 of degree of independence. Substantial degree of independence at level 6. High degree of independence at level 7. It now involves exercise of leadership and initiative. And the level 8, which is the highest level, full independence for professionals that have learning outcomes or descriptors at level 8. So this refers to the baccalaureate, post-baccalaureate, and doctoral and postdoctoral levels. So the PQF defines our qualifications in 4 sectors: basic ed, technical education and skills development, higher education, and professional sector. And that's the reason why we say that the PQF is also applicable to the professional level. We use the learning outcomes approach. We have levels of qualifications. We have domains, as I described, knowledge, skills, values, application, degree of independence, and we utilize level descriptors. Now, just to give you a point of comparison, this is the Malaysian qualifications framework. Just like the Philippine qualifications framework, it also utilizes levels 1 to 8. They have skills and vocational technical sector columns. They have higher education columns. Level 6 also refers to bachelor's degree, graduate certificate and diploma. Level 7 to the master's degree, postgraduate certificate and diploma, and level 8 doctoral degree. Question: a BS architecture graduate from the Philippines, if he moves to Malaysia, to what level in the Malaysian qualifications framework will he be assigned to? Now, going to the Indonesian qualifications framework, you now see here level 7 professional, level 8 specialist, level 9 subspecialist, and technical vocational operator, technician, analyst, and expert. Same question. If a BS architecture graduate from the Philippines moves to Indonesia, to what level will he be assigned to in the Indonesian qualifications framework? And of course, if you look at Thailand, just like Indonesia, they have levels 1 to 9. And you look at Thailand, bachelor's degree is assigned level 5. Level 6 is graduate diploma. Level 7 is master's degree. Level 8 is higher graduate diploma. And level 9 is doctoral degree. Now I have inserted one qualifications framework from a Middle Eastern country, the UAE or United Arab Emirates. You look at the UAE and you look at these qualifications in the higher education sector. Bachelor's degree is assigned level 7. But postgraduate diploma is assigned level 8. Master's degree is assigned level 9. Doctoral degree is assigned level 10. So the UAE qualifications framework utilizes a 10-level qualifications. So just to illustrate mobility of professionals, a Filipino BS Architecture PQF level 6 may also be assigned Malaysian qualifications framework level 6 if he moves to Malaysia, because the Malaysian qualifications framework also contains level 6 for bachelor's degree. But this is only on the leveling. What needs to be looked at more in detail will be the level descriptors or the learning outcomes. If there will be substantial equivalence between the level descriptors or learning outcomes in the Philippines and in Malaysia, most probably that Filipino BS architecture or architect will be assigned to the same level or level 6. Going to Thailand, a Filipino architect, PQF level 6 in the Philippines, moves to Thailand, he will be assigned maybe bachelor's degree, but the Thailand qualifications framework level 5. And if he goes to the United Arab Emirates, a PQF Level 6 for architecture in the Philippines, a qualifications framework Emirates Level 7. Now, why are these levels very important? These levels are very important because in many countries, they determine what kind of visa is given to the Filipino professional. They also determine the kind of remuneration or salaries or benefits that are being given to those professionals. And one time, the Philippine Embassy in UAE had to request capacity building on qualifications framework because the UAE qualifications framework Emirates were started to be implemented last year. And even our personnel in the embassies are not even familiar with the Philippine qualifications framework. So, some lessons. In general, qualifications frameworks are used to assess the qualifications of workers and professionals, primarily to enhance mobility. Professionals obtain their QF level from their country of origin. So we obtain our qualifications framework from the Philippine qualifications framework. However, if we move to host countries, the host countries will assess the qualifications of Filipino professionals based on their qualifications framework. And that's the reason why, if we reverse the direction, a Thai architect moving to the Philippines, an Indonesian architect moving to the Philippines will have their qualifications processed and assessed based on the Philippine qualifications framework and the level descriptors of the Philippine qualifications framework. Now, going to the AQRF, the ASEAN qualifications framework is just finalized late in 2014. It also has a structure, a scope, purpose, principles, a component of quality assurance. They also utilize the learning outcomes, level descriptors. So this is primarily a common reference framework, and it has a counterpart in the European qualifications framework. It enables comparisons of qualifications across ASEAN member states, and they also cover education and training sectors, and they promote lifelong learning. This is level 1, 2, 3 of the AQRF. They utilize two domains, knowledge and skills, a combination of application and responsibility. This is level 4, 5, and 6. And then level 7 and level 8. Now, how do we compare? The one at the middle column is the AQRF or the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. They also consist of levels 1 to 8. Now, country A has levels 1 to 9. Levels 1 to 9. Country B has levels 1 to 8. So levels 1 to 9 may be Indonesia or Thailand. Country B may be Philippines and Malaysia. All that we need to do is determine which qualifications in country A would correspond to level 1 of the qualifications of the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. And you will see here 1 and 2 corresponding to level 1, 3 corresponding to level 2, nothing corresponding to level 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5, 6 and 7 to 6, 8 and 9 to level 8. Now, looking at country B, you may conclude that there's a one-to-one correspondence, but it may not be so. Because aside from the leveling, as I said, it will be the learning outcomes or the level descriptors that will determine to what level a professional will be assigned to when he moves from his country of origin to a host country. Now, referencing process in 2018, the 10 ASEAN member states have agreed that in 2018, all their national qualifications framework will be referenced or compared to the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework in 2018. This presupposes that between 2015 and 2017, we should have fully implemented our Philippine Qualifications Framework. We should have documented our quality assurance mechanisms, lifelong learning processes. An Australian team will visit us, and a Philippine team will visit Australia in an effort to learn more about the implementations of qualifications framework. Pre-referencing will start next year, and referencing of the PQF to the AQRF will be done in 2018. Just for an example, comparison, this is the European Qualifications Framework. As Ron Astillas has mentioned, in the European Union, there are 28 countries, and Ireland is one of them. The Irish National Framework of Qualifications has levels 1 to 10, whereas the European Qualifications Framework only has 1 to 8, just like the AQRF. So you find here levels 1 and 2 of the Ireland Qualifications Framework corresponding to level 1 of the EQF, 3 to 2, 4 to 3, 5 to 4, 6 to 5, 7 and 8 corresponding to level 6, 9 to 7, and 10, level 10 to level 8. So you now have an idea regarding how the Philippine Qualifications Framework will be referenced or compared to the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. So this enables us to compare qualifications across ASEAN member states. There are components like quality assurance, lifelong learning, and then use of learning outcomes. I will just emphasize on lifelong learning, CPD, and career progression. And if the entry level for architecture is baccalaureate, then at the start, you belong to level 6. But through the academic track or professional track, MS or MA or PhD agency, full professor in the academe or dean, government consultant, and he now qualifies to belong to level 8 in the PQF and also level 8 in the AQRF. So that's how you see the progression of a professional. This not only applies to architects, but also applies to the different kinds of professionals under the Professional Regulation Commission. So, competitiveness of Filipino architects. I think that Mr. Bilus had some words regarding competitiveness of Filipino architects. I will just look at the market conditions and trends. The number of schools, 83. Number of graduates per year, 2,500 to 3,000. Number of takers in the licensure exam, about 1,500. Number of passers, 900. Average for the 5 years, past 5 years is 52%. Number of registered professionals is 34%, but the number of active professionals is only 11,000. The number of Filipino architects registered as Asian architects is only 43. And as I asked the different professions during our workshop in the PRC, since the ASEAN MRA is a rules-based arrangement and a government-to-government arrangement, 43 out of 11,000 active architects in the Philippines only constitute 0.4% of the total architects in the Philippines. So essentially, my question is, does that mean that only 43 of you will be able to utilize the MRA mechanism in moving from the Philippines to the other ASEAN countries? And that's the reason why professionals like engineers and architects are encouraged to join the register of the ASEAN. How do we operationalize the PQF and AQRF? In medicine, I have already submitted a proposal for a modification of the PRC identification card to incorporate the profession, medicine, qualification, specialist, specialization, general surgery, that's my specialty, PQF level 8, AQRF level 8. And if I translate that to architecture, PRC identification card of the architect in the future, profession architecture, qualification specialist, specialization, urban design, PQF level 8, AQRF level 8. And every time you renew your PRC ID, you will be given leaflets on the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the Asean Qualifications Reference Framework. And that's how you will get to understand and to apply the principles of the PQF and the AQRF. If we do not operationalize the PQF and the AQRF, and if we do not make it really important to the professionals, then they may not pay attention to the qualifications framework and the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. So summary of uses, we develop our national qualifications. If a foreign professional comes in, we use the PQF to assess the foreign professionals. It promotes lifelong learning. It compares qualifications and enhances worker mobility. It also enhances learner mobility. We understand better the level of competencies when the PQF and AQRF levels are indicated. We improve communication among business sectors and companies. Next steps way forward, as professionals move from entry level to level 7 and 8, professional outcomes and competencies will have to be identified. So that will be the work of the Board of Architecture, the CPD Council for Architecture, the UAP, the different chapter presidents, and the different members of the architecture profession to define what is level 6, what is level 7, and what would be level 8 learning outcomes. In compliance with the quality assurance components, there's a need to establish a certification system to recognize, validate, and accredit qualifications at different levels. There's a need for the PRBOA, Professional Regulatory Board of Architecture, CPD Council, UAP, academe, and professionals to study or even master the PQF and AQRF. Their domains, level descriptors appropriate to the different qualifications levels. Professionals moving to the other countries should be oriented on the national qualifications framework and the qualifications recognition processes of the host countries. Variety of inputs from professionals are valuable. You may be junior, senior, professional representing various roles and various settings, possessing various levels of education, training, and work experience. Pilot testing is important. When the CPD Council has already finalized all the level descriptors of the different levels, then you try to apply it to somebody who has been working as an architect for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years, and try to determine to what level in the PQF that architect will be assigned to. All stakeholders will have to collaborate with each other to attain the objectives. And that means PRC, Board of Architecture, CPD Council, CHED Technical Committee, the United Architects of the Philippines, government and private agencies, educational institutions, and professionals working in various settings. Let me thank Honorable Roy Cordero for furnishing me a lot of materials on architecture that allowed me to present this before the UAP. And thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cueto.